heart of the mountains, where flying shadows play. Legends whisper softly in the light of day. Scales shine like diamonds, wings that touch the sky. Guardians of the planet Earth, protecting all that cry. When the storms rage above and the darkened shadows creep, they shield the outer danger from attacking when we sleep. Through their breath of fire, we will find our way back home. They are always there to call on, no matter where we roam. Hear the thunder of dragons flying high above the earth, protectors of the ancient realms.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another level of the Heartfire Chronicles for 2025. This is going across a multitude of platforms. So it's going to be on you are on TikTok, it's on my Facebook, hopefully, and it's on YouTube at the same time, plus also the ESP Global Network around the world. And well, welcome to the Heartfire Chronicles. And for those of you who don't know who I am, well, my name's Gary. And if you ask me what I do, it's quite simple. I'm a being having a perfectly imperfect human experience. And let's start this up. This is the beginning of 2025. Power of nine. Some will go and say, well, no, it's not, but I'm not going to go down that route. I'm going to look at what it is. It's a new opportunity for us to come together and understand that unity in people is where the power is. It's not in ideologies, and it's not in seeking, you know, validation on the outside world and, the look at me syndromes and things like that. It's about understanding is that we are one people. And regardless of age, gender, color, creed, language, walk of life, we're one people. You close your eyes and somebody speaks, you can hear a tone, difference in a voice, and open your eyes and you see there's a being before you. The first edition of this is something that I wanted to address that's a hmm, very delicate subject out there. And it's in regards to this hookup culture and friends with benefits and, this exterioration of here's a body. And I might also say, well, here's like going to the supermarket and the commodities behind it and the loss of dignity and honor and respect. There's three things I carry very heavy in my life. And first off, it's respect. And respect is not just my words, it's not just, the way I dress, it's in the way I carry myself. And it's also in the way that I receive respect. So it's quite simple. Break my respect, I walk away from you. I have nothing more to say to you because it's a waste of time. But what I've acknowledged and what I've seen in 63 cycles around the earth, and I'll put together the first three cycles in the same, well, I was crawling at that time and falling a lot. But after that, the 6 decades and seeing everything around the world and the change and the technology from the birth of where it is to where it is right now. And this online world that is it's a virtual world. If you want to look at anything that's an illusion, it's the online world, but it is a tool. It's a tool that allows us to reach out, go further, connect with people that would have not been able to connect with in the use of technology. But it's also brought something else out there, and it's brought a very dark industry. And this dark industry is in, well, I'm going to I'm trying to find the right words to say to this because there are community standards. It's funny that there's certain things I can show and certain things we can't say. So let's call it for what it is. If it gets flagged, it gets flagged. Okay, and this industry of showing the body, okay, and the trade that's behind it. In 2024, that industry generated billions of dollars. Okay, and it's a sickness in many ways, and it's been going on not just for a couple of years. It's been going on for a very very long time in the trade of the body, right? Here it is, pay for it, exploit it and discard it. Okay. And it goes through the fashion industry, it goes through a great number of things. And it's affecting our culture. It's affecting people around the world. It's affecting men as much as it's affecting women. Okay. There's studies out there that have shown it and talked about it and proven that it's actually dumbing you down. So it's dumbing down the brain, it's dumbing down a great deal of things, and it's bringing out more of an animalistic culture in many, many ways, in the way that we see a human body as a commodity. Okay. The human body is not a commodity, it's a temple. Temples, temple. Where's your house of worship? This is the house of worship, in my opinion. This is my house of worship. This is where I find the upper consciousness. This is where I find my connection, as much it is to the higher power as it is to the power that's below my feet. Mother Earth, the earth that I walk upon, the medicines, the beauty, and the essence of life. Life. Life is, in my world, it's quite simple. LIFE, living in frequent evolution. Life. Life doesn't owe us anything, doesn't owe anybody anything. Life doesn't wait for anything. Okay. It doesn't wait for any living. It is an evolution. It's constantly an evolution. But somewhere along the line, the evolution of our species has hit some dark ways, some dark, deep ways of looking at other humans. Judgment, the use of selling yourself, and proclaiming that you're somebody that you're not, and labels and dogmas and stigmas and all sorts of things. Okay. The loss of honor in relationships, and honor in that aspect of communications. It's like, how are you communicating? Power of the word, spelling. Once released, you can't really take it back. When the same thing with the thought, the same thing with actions and reactions. Once you've released it, it's released. Okay. And if you come back afterwards and you were to say, no, I'm sorry, does that help? The sorry to the act that's already been done is something that, if I make a mistake, I apologize first off to myself, because this is where my forgiveness is. Forgiving myself for making a mistake that may have harmed somebody, may have said something in a wrongful mannerism. And it's taken, lots of practice. Think about it, 6 decades of practice to get to where I have an understanding, a knowing, or an understanding. Understanding versus understanding. Under, and then somebody standing above me, versus understanding is coming into, who am I? What are my values? What are my morals? And I see where, in a world where it is in today's generation, lack of morals, lack of values, self essentialism. It's like the world owes me something. Okay. My parents owe me something. Really? No. No, there's a shortcoming right there. The only thing that's owed to you is that you take responsibility and you assume responsibility for who you are, not trying to seek this exterior validation in this meat suit and holding it out on a Gavin hook and saying, look here, flaunt and look at me, and, ask for monetary gain from this. And, we can go into a multitude of different pathways, whether it's the fashion industry and look at the way that it's using this human vessel and putting that human vessel forward, and the distortion of that human vessel. Many models, and I've got some experience in the model industry, and in the essence of how the body is supposed to be. It's always supposed to be like this, and so anorexic and bulimic, and the sicknesses that are caused to it, to the person, because they want to be, you know fame. Look at me. And then where does it go afterwards? And a down tailspin, and where it takes that human, or that being, if you want to use it that way, in the essence of a man or a woman. And now we're seeking this monetary addiction. Okay. And that's how money has been created. It's actually an addiction in many, many ways. And this aspect of putting the vessel forward, like I say, as meat on a Gavin hook. You know what? If you want to show a little bit of your flesh, fine. Okay. But when you're showing it to sell it, there's no morals in that. There's no value in that. I'm old school, gentlemen, respect, honor, dignity, and you're going to throw it at me. Uh, that's fast food. Yeah, that's just fast food. You might as well go to McDonald's and get the same thing. There's no value in that. There's no morals in that. And there's definitely no integrity because you've taken that vessel and now you're using it as fish bait. Okay. And let's go deeper into that. So, when we look at this culture of relationships today, and it's all about the friends with benefits and how many women I've been with and how many men I've been with, is that something to be proud about? Does that make you more of a man or more of a woman with value? No, it doesn't. I fail to see where the value is there. Okay, and it's not something just in today's generation. As a young boy, going through school and the high school jocks and you know all about the score. How many girls they were going out with and being boastful about it. Where's the value in that? Is that treating somebody with respect and honor and dignity? Or is that treating them as an object, a thing, a trophy? Look at the beautiful woman I'm with, or look at the beautiful man I'm with. And the only thing you're seeing is the vessel. Your vessel's 1% of who you are. 1%. 99% is who you are from within. And that comes back, do you know who you are? Or are you seeking that validation by thinking, oh, uh, I've been with this many women, this many men. From a man's perspective, I hear a lot of it and I see a lot of it. And I mentor with men and with women. And I hear it coming back time and time again, the relationship breaking down and the boastfulness about, well, I slept with this many people, or I've been with this many relationships. And, it's like, is it a game? Okay. Where is the truthfulness into who you are? And then you become discarded as what? Just something thrown away till something's better. And from one relationship, you go and you go and you go and you go and you go. What are you seeking? Are you seeking comfort? Okay. Are you seeking the score? Are you seeking belonging? What are you seeking on that validation? And then taking it to the online world and fans only pages and all of this. And it's not just about where the adult is or where the presumed adult is what is it showing to children? Is that what you want your children to see? Is that this is the way to make money or make yourself famous in taking the vessel and saying, here it is, flaunting it, and then turning it into all over the different types of commodities? Okay, selling toenails, selling morsels of hair, selling pieces of clothing because somebody saw you wearing it? Does that give you value? Or the only thing you're seeking is that, how much money is it going to give you so you can buy things? You own nothing. The only thing you own is this body. This is what you own. This is what you're born with, and this is what you will leave the world with in part. Anything else is borrowed. Money's borrowed, clothing's borrowed, things are borrowed. It doesn't make who you are. And so when I talk about this aspect of men that are boastful, what is that? I'm a man because I'm stoic and I got big muscles and I got money and I got a car and I can buy things and buy women. I thought a woman is sacred. In the way I grew up, a woman was seen as being sacred. My father, I learned from my father. I learned from my grandfather. And I learned from many others around me that showed me respect and dignity and presentation and politeness towards a woman, opening up a door, opening up a car door. I saw my father open up the car door and he would take my mother's dress and place it inside so that the car door wouldn't slam on the dress. Being attentive, so that her dress wouldn't be spoiled. I saw him get up in a restaurant and walk her to the washroom because he didn't want her to go to the washroom by herself. The man, the protector, not ownership, respect, respect and dignity, and also honor in that. In the aspect of courtship that I don't think really exists in today's world. Courtship, getting the time to build a foundation and build friendship and build trust and confidence and, to the point where you can feel safe and secure. Something that men, I'm going to call it out for what it is that we've been taught to not show emotions. And this is not just something that's new, it's been going on for generations upon generations. And even the way society sees a man, strong man, provider, strength. See a man with a tear, and how many people think, well, that man's crying, he's weak? How many grew up with parents saying the same thing to the boys, don't cry? My father never said that to me. I cried, I cried. But it brought me a great deal of challenges in schooling because I am vulnerable and I am sensitive. And I'm not afraid to show that. I'm not afraid to show a tear when something makes me happy as much as when it makes me sad. But a majority of men, we've been taught to push this inside. So our essence of vulnerability, sensitivity, we bury it so that we can say, well, I'm a man. Okay. And yet on the inside of you, what is it doing to you? I don't think there's a man on the face of this earth, if you really, really go deep into it, can say that, you know what, it's I'm fragile. For a man to admit that he's fragile is a rarity that I have not experienced. I've had some men that have come to know that are admittance to that aspect that they are fragile, that they've been hurt, but a majority of men don't because it's all about being the strong man, which you think is a strong man, and then you show that strength because of objects, buying things, buying a woman. It's like that's basically what you're doing and thinking that you can shower them with gifts and that's going to make them happy. I don't think so. It may seem like it's making them happy, but in my world, in my experience, it isn't. What I've experienced in my relationships, I'm proud to say, even though it challenged me and betrayed me, I'm okay with it. I've learned from it. I have no resentments, no regrets to my experiences in life. Okay. But I do have knowings and knowledges, and I still remain true to myself in the aspect of my vulnerability and my fragility. Do I have boundaries? Absolutely. Absolutely. I got a very strong boundary. I got a backbone. Most people that have come to know that I can fire up and they may think that I'm getting mad, but I'm not getting mad. It's a boundary. And that boundary is very firm, whether it is brother, sister, relatives, or a stranger. The boundary is firm. Lack of respect, betrayal, I'm done. And that doesn't mean I wish harm. No, I'm just done with that relationship because I'm done with the energy exchange. It's it's a waste of my time to engage with such energy if there is no bilateral exchange. Intercommunication skills, the ability to look at somebody and talk to them. If there's none of that's there, then for me, I'm just going to mosey on along my way. And I'll deal with my emotions and I'll deal with even, the anger because I'm going to sit in it. I'm going to stand in it. And the reason I'm going to stand in it is because it's going to help me to grow. It helps me to become a better person. And I'm not perfect. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm perfectly imperfect. And I'm okay with my imperfections. Yeah, it's not something I'm going to fixate on and say, I got to fix this and I got to get something like, fillers and do this and do that and change this so that the outside world can see me as perfection. Perfection doesn't exist. But coming back to the essence of the man and the way we carry ourselves and the way that I see a majority of men carrying themselves is that we feel that the bigger we are, the more money we have, the more value that we get in a woman. A woman is not about what you can gift her and, the money and the ownership, because you don't own a woman. You can try. Good luck with that one. Okay. Because the moment you think you have ownership, you're going to see it's not going to work. It may seem like it's working for the short period, but in the essence of that relationship, is that woman feeling safe and secure, or is she feeling threatened? Maybe that's what it is. It's she's feeling threatened, so she's submissive to you. Okay, and she's being submissive to you because you're throwing, you know, fire or garbage. I think it's a little bit of both. Fiery garbage is what it is. Because if you are seeking to have that relationship where you feel safe, for me, it's about feeling safe in my heart, feeling safe in my vulnerability. It's not about what happens underneath my covers. Okay, I mean, be honest with you, that's a physical act that's very short lived in comparison to the rest of the time that's spent with that person in your life, in the sharing, in the growth, in the understanding, and becoming where that home is a sanctuary. Your home is a sanctuary as much as the home of my heart is a sanctuary. And this intercommunication skill towards being respectful, gestures, tip of the hat, you know, smiles, the way we actually put our hands over and greet somebody. And a man, I'm going to greet him in a certain handshake. And then a lady, I'm going to greet her in a certain handshake. And I've had the experiences where the woman is actually grabbing the same way. And it's etiquette for me and the way that I carry myself as a gentleman. Okay. And carrying myself as a gentleman is in my gestures as well, my presentation, and understanding that I am a man that is sensitive and tender and kind, but I can also be strong and fiery. And yeah, I can be a spitfire at times. Okay. When we get pushed beyond our boundaries, there is a point where we're going to turn around and we're going to say, enough is enough. We can say it politely, fine. If it's heard, it's not heard, well, there's a certain boundary and there's a button that gets pushed and there's a side of a fire that will come out that will not be the nicest thing at times. But it's a way is also is that you're addressing it in the moment of the here and now, and it's a no BS. Walk away from it rather than drop into it. And coming back to this essence of, sacredness of this vessel, male or female, the body is a temple. It's a sacred temple to honor it, to respect it, and to be dignified with it. If you choose to throw it out into the world, own it, okay? And own the image that comes along with it. Because the image that comes along with it is only showing that it's a commodity. It's you might as well go to Walmart. It's a commodity. Where's the value? Where's the moral? Where's the respect in that person that you can feel 100% confident with, knowing that, you know what, if you fall, that person's with you. Not to fall with you, but to be there when you fall. So when you get back up, you can turn around and learn from that experience and feel safe in the healing of it. And in the world where media, and news, and, all of the websites and everything that's out there, we're being polluted by a distortion of illusions, distortion of a virtual world versus how do you carry yourself in the real world. So if you're out there using the internet to show off the vessel, what happens when you walk down the street and are you the same person? Okay, and the stranger comes up to you and says, I saw you on fans only pages. Can I get you a pair of your socks or something else? Is that how you want to be seen? Truly, at the end of the day. And if you want to be seen like that, then fine. Okay, but that doesn't mean that it's a respectful gesture of a human and what it is to be a human. And I know we can go in lots of different ways of using that word. Point is that you are a human being having a human experience on an earthly plane of a living mother, Mother Earth. She feeds you, not your Walmart. She feeds you air, earth, water, fire, and spirit. She allows you to survive in the species to thrive, but we're in shipping containers. Our ancestors were in forests and lands and worshiped the lands and honored the lands and appreciated the lands and appreciated their foods. And in today's world, I think that's disappeared for a fair bit of it. Okay. We don't really appreciate and show gratitude and are grateful for the simple things that we have at times of that maybe that gesture of your wife or your girlfriend in the way that she smiled to you, or is it only about having the trophy? So this boastfulness, and where many, whether it's the male or the female, that's boasting about how many you've been with and thinking that that is value. If I was a woman and a man come up to me and said, I've slept with 500, I would say, first off, can you get some blood work done? And second off, I'm going to wear a hazmat suit because you know what? I'm not going to play Russian roulette with this. That's kind of where you can go into the depth of it because that's what it is. There's no respect, there's no honor in this. So when I come into mentoring people and understanding what it is to be a sacred human, a sacred man, a sacred woman, the sacredness, the understanding of kindness and honor and respect of self. It is not about the object, this vessel. It is about presentation in word, in sight, how you see each other, how you think about each other, how you can be apart as much as you can be near. And in this whole essence of this fast food industry and, searching for immediate, gratification, but there's no gratefulness. It's you think you're being grateful, but it's not. You're seeking something to make you feel of value, but is that really making you feel of value? To be seen like this, or to be maybe in the other side of it, where you end up being abused and you end up being hmm, maybe sold off. And if we go into the deep darkness of this industry that's out there and the hold that it has on people around the world, and then we start to go and see what, how children are being treated, or how the woman is being treated, or even how the man is being treated. Okay. And then the trade of what this is doing. How many have gone down that rabbit hole? And I mean, going really, really deep down in it to see the atrocities, to see the harm, to see the missing human and what's happening throughout all of this. And it's right before you. It's happening, within the mediotic world. It's happening with politicians. It's happening with religions. It's been happening for a very, very, very long time. So the more that we keep allowing this to be out there, the more that this is still happening to people and the way that people are being treated and the way that people at times are disappearing. Okay. And what's going on with that dark, dark side of things. So it's about, are you ready to see the harsh truths? Are you ready to acknowledge the harsh truths? I was fortunate through the media that I use on TikTok, and for many of the TikTok followers that follow me, is an artist by the name of Lindsay Stores that came forward after following for a very, very long time. And she created a piece of music called Thunder of the Dragons, which you heard in part at the beginning of this podcast, and you'll hear the entirety of the song at the ending of this podcast. But she also shared another piece of music that's being considered for the second version of a film about what's been happening to the trade of children in the industry. It's very heart wrenching because it really calls it out, the politicians and the movie stars and the people that we idolize. And yet, what's going on behind the scenes and what's going on in a world that's got a lot of darkness at times. So, how far are we going to keep allowing this to happen? There is a point when we have to come up and be able to speak in that freedom of that voice and bringing forth absolute truths. And we can see the telltale signs of how it's affecting many people because it's, fans only pages, free websites to see all types of commodities of the body. and how it goes. And I'm trying to be careful with my words just in case I get flagged on this. It's like, you know what? And I want to say it for what it is. And maybe I will and take the risk on it because I have a great deal of insight and a great deal of understanding of it based upon a great deal of my experience in my life. And I'll randomize this a little bit and come into a short of a story. I began in the IT industry in 1988. Internet didn't really exist then. And I moved through internet technology or information technology as it birthed and changed and evolved the operating systems, the internet and websites and technology, and to where it is today. At the latter part of that career, I was also working in securities, meaning setting up firewalls and setting up backbones and infrastructures, the banking industry, the financial industries, and other corporate structures. And setting up this was also being privileged to seeing certain things and seeing information, understanding how money really works and where it goes and how it's printed and who's the rich of the rich and who's not the rich of the rich. But I was also privileged to seeing information about trafficking, certain corporations, and you know all of this that brought me down the dark side of the web. Okay, to understand how the hackers work, because in order to protect, the firewall and then the integrity of the firewall and the integrity of those networks, we have to understand how the other side works. What I saw going down these rabbit holes was enough to make me violently vomit, and I mean violently vomit. I saw things that You know, you think a horror film on television is something or the cinema is something. I saw things that would take Halloween and Friday the 13th and make it look like a Charlie Brown Christmas story because it was about what was happening in real time. Have you ever heard the term panda eyes or snuff films? I've seen that. I've seen it to the point where it gave me nightmares. And so I'm very aware of this pornographic industry that's out there and the way that it shows and the underside of things and what it does to a lot of people in that industry. Okay. And there's a lot of them that are speaking about it in today's world. They're become drug addicts. They become sick with all sorts of sick diseases. And there's no way of avoiding it because that's the way they've been brought down into it. And that's the way we've been pushed down into it. But there's a side of it that's very deep and dark, very, very deep and dark. And so talking about this needs to be talked. It needs to be brought out versus saying it's healthy for you. I've had people tell me, so you know what, porn's healthy for me. No, it's not. It's dumbing you down. Okay. And it's responsible for a great deal of atrocities in relationships. It's breach of trust, as far as I'm concerned. If you're in a relationship and you're watching that, where's where's the trust? Where's the truth of that emotional or even physical intimacy? Is it truly intimate? Or are you fantasizing about something that you saw on the internet or whatever? And how it goes through all the other circuits, the club scene, okay, strip clubs, and all of this. Look at what it's done to the peoples. And you can't deny this because just open your eyes. Open your eyes and see it for what it is. That it's a lack of honor and dignity and respect to the human vessel that should be seen as something that's honorable and worshiped and taken care of and to be proud of that. If you think by doing anything like that and if you're involved in it and you're proud of it, then that is your story. It does belong to you, but it doesn't belong to the children. And then the social medias where it's rampant with all sorts of flash posting and ads and they say this doesn't go against community standards and it's taking you to a link that's you know a flesh site. Children have access to this. So why is that allowed? That's my question to the powers to be, the regulatory bodies, the governments of the world is why is that allowed to be? If I go on that flip side of it, because it's a separation from your heart. It's a separation, it's an illusion, and it's dumbing you down, and it's only up here in this gray mass, but it's not in your heart. Because the heart knows the difference between the rights and the wrongs. The heart knows absolute truths. But the program, the egoist, it's like the man that boasts about being with 500 women, or the woman boasting about how many boyfriends she has. There's something very wrong with this picture. And if this is the way that's going to keep on going into the youth, into the with the children, what is the world going to become as the children get bombarded with this? When is it going to stop? When people come together and unite and understand that we, the people, can fix a great deal of things. But it takes us to come together as one. It takes us to be, respectful of each other. And respect is to say, you know what? I can respect myself. So I know what it is to respect myself. And if you don't respect me, I have the right to walk away from you. I have the right to, with discernment, to not engage with you. And if somebody says, well, you should forgive, no, I forgive myself. But I'm not going to forgive somebody who is in an act of an atrocity or leads to an act of an atrocity because that's a threat. That's a threat to the survival of our species. It truly is. And this essence of being an honorable man or an honorable woman, if you want a serious, valuable relationship that is durable, that will stand the tests of the challenges, then it's about coming into your inner world through the power of your vulnerabilities and your sensitivities and being able to be authentic, truthfully. As a man, I also would like to put my head on a lady's shoulder and feel safe, feel where I can be okay in my vulnerability, where I can shed my tears and not feel I'm judged or opinionated because I'm having an emotional moment, because I'm emotionally engaged with myself, with my emotional intellect and my emotional intimacy into me, not, intimacy like we think. This engagement as a man with a woman is not just our physical body or our money or our things. From my experience, from my mentorships, and from working with many people, a woman requires this emotional engagement. That emotional engagement allows her to become safe and secure because now she's secure in who she is because there's an emotional presence, an emotional engagement that's there. And that emotional intimacy that comes between the two of you, again, is not about what's happening in the bedroom. It's about this foreplay of the words. And again, it's not about that act. It's about this foreplay of how we speak to each other, what makes us, I feel appreciated. I feel I'm being adored. I'm being cherished. I'm being respected rather than, you know, did you clean up the house? Did you look after the children? Did you cook me a meal? And then think, well, here's the fringe benefits. And then it's like, oh, I'm getting bored. And next thing you know, you're looking on the other side of the fence because you're looking for something that you think is greener on the other side of the fence. And it's not. There's no value in that. There's no morals. And in my perspective, there is no happiness whatsoever in that. I look to people that I would see were mentors, like my father, and how he treated my mother. my stepfather. I never knew my real father. And the way he treated my mother and the durability of that relationship and the amount of time that they spent together. And when my mother passed away 23 years ago, and my father stayed single until he passed away, he would sit at home, look at the pictures, but he wasn't out on the dating. He lost the love of his life. My grandparents had stayed together for 50 some odd years. Where is that happening in today's world? It's a rarity. I've come across couples that have been together for a very, very long time. They have their challenges. They have their mishaps, but they had something that you could see was sacred, a bond. They appreciated each other, even though there was days when, but they were still present. And that engagement to be there. But if you're in that relationship where you're afraid to leave because of the abuse, the narcissism, the manipulation, your partner watching, the porn and, then coming to bed with you afterwards and you think that's okay, where's that going? Where's the value in that? So my point is to all the men out there, you want to be in a relationship? Learn to be in the relationship with yourself. Learn to be in the power of your vulnerability. Learn to be in the power of your sensitivity because you know what? It is a superpower. It's not a weakness. Your vulnerability is not a weakness. It's a superpower. And that ability to show that you can be vulnerable shows strength. And a great many a woman will appreciate to see that because now they're not just seeing an image, they're seeing somebody who's authentic, that has the ability to admit, you know what? I'm not as strong as I feel at times. I'm not feeling strong right now, and I need support versus hiding and running away from it until it goes into self destruction. And if we look at the opting out around the world, the highest opting out is among men. 80% of those that decide to opt out is men because the way we've been programmed, the dogmas, the stigmas, the labels, the way the world is in this hookup culture. Like, I don't see any value in it. I don't see how you can be proud of that, to be honest with you. So, if you want to be proud of yourself, get out of your fucking ego. Get into the power of your heart. And it doesn't mean it's wishy washy. That means I can stand with strength and I can stand with knowing what I desire and what I don't desire in my life. And if it's still a trouble, then you know what? Sit with it. Sit deep with it. Go deepwards. Go really, 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 really deep. Meditate on it. Don't know how to meditate? Learn how to breathe. Yeah. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In through life, out through what you no longer desire. Instead of holding on to the hurts and the sorrows and the angers and burying that down and letting it destroy you from the inside to the point when you break. Been there. I tried it. I'm still here. I learned something from it. Nothing is worth opting out. Nothing is worth opting out. But it is worth facing myself and learning about myself from my mistakes as much as it is from my successes. And what is in the essence of that success is I'm 63 cycles around the earth and I wake up every morning and I'm grateful that I'm still breathing. I'm grateful for my breath. I'm grateful for the exchange. I'm grateful for my intelligence to be able to sit here with you, being seen by the world, and sharing my truth, staying authentic, and with a backbone. And God knows some know what my backbone is when it fires up, the dragon spirit that comes out. So I'm going to open this up. And if there's any, I don't see any comments. If there's any questions, feel free to ask any of those questions that you would like to know about or more about. The whole game with this Heartfire Chronicles and where we're going forward in 2025 and this podcasting side of it is to open up this channel to an outreach globally where you can feel I can speak about where I'm vulnerable, or I can speak about I'm having a problem understanding what self-love is, or I'm having a problem understanding why am I so angry because I'm still holding on to the yesterdays and I'm fearful of my tomorrows. Okay, let me see where this is. I just saw that. To grow, what's the best? Okay, so I have a TikTok user who's asked, is saying, "Hey Gary, I know you say self-love. What's the best way to grow in to be happy for yourself?" My answer to that is that my happiness comes by first finding my peace, to be peaceful with myself rather than fighting with myself. And my inner peace is in everything that I do and interact with. Is it if I'm eating something, am I at peace eating it or am I rushing it? So it's about slowing down. To slow down is to see myself, to be with myself, to be appreciative of myself, to look at myself in the mirror and say, you know what? Yeah, I am a good looking man. But I'm not saying that from ego. I'm saying that because I accept that I am a good looking man in the way that I see myself. It's not about how others see me. This perception of we get caught up in how others see you is seeking validation and seeking approval and seeking belonging of somebody to say, as an example, I love you, or you're doing a good job, or things like this. But yet, what is love? Love, this self-love, to get into it, is in acceptance, surrender to who I am. And even in my mistakes and my faults. My faults don't make who I am. What makes who I am is the ability that I can accept myself and be proud of myself without seeking validation or seeking approval of somebody else. I don't care how somebody perceives me. I'll be very, very straight on that. You can perceive me to be anything. You can call me anything you want to call me. It's how I see myself, how I appreciate myself. And my peace is the foundation to self love. Because when I'm at peace with myself, I'm in love with myself rather than fighting with myself. If I'm not in peace with myself, am I in love with myself? No, I'm at war with myself. Step back, reflect, breathe. Remember who you are. Look in the mirror. What do you see? Hope that answers it. If it doesn't, I got one other thing for you. Love. 4 letters, 4 words. Let others voluntarily evolve. LOVE. Let others voluntarily evolve, including self. Rather than forcing it, where are you with being comfortable with it? Are you comfortable with it? I tell my dog I'm proud of him, her. However, I've come to learn me being proud of another is more about me and no one else. So I don't say, good one, Laura. I like that, Lori. So, proud concept. Are you proud? Okay, I'm going to go on to that one because that opens up a little bit of a hmm. If I'm proud of myself in the aspect that I accept myself, that means I hold myself with strength, pride. Pride, not ego. I'm proud of who I am. I don't need to say to somebody, I'm proud. It shows. It shows the way I carry myself. It's not carrying myself in a bullish manner. It's not carrying myself in an egoistic manner. It's carrying myself as, you know what? I'm proud of what I've achieved, and even in my mistakes, but I don't need to boast about it. And I can understand saying that, proud of a dog or any animal because they have no ego. The animals, aves, mammals, the world and nature, there's ego doesn't exist there. So when you tell an animal that they're proud, they're showing you unconditional love. Unconditional love. They have no expectations. Well, give them a treat. Of course. What? They've gotten used to you giving them treats. But in the wild, if they didn't have that interaction, ego doesn't exist. They find their treats. Look at the loyalty of the wolf, the lion, the lioness, swans. There's pride that's there. There's proudness that's there because look at the unity that's of that couple. Yeah, animals, aves, mammals, nature. Nature shows us, excuse me, I should drink water. Nature shows us the power of unconditional love. It shows us the universal ebb and flow of life. It shows us the freedom of spirit versus the city, the container, the programs, the concepts, the ideologies, the stacked boxes, maritime laws versus the law of spirit, spirituality, spirit seen as nature. Many an elder, many an Indian elder, clans mothers have said to understand the power of spirit, spirituality, walk into a forest, breathe, open your eyes, you slow down. How many of you walk into a forest and you walk back into the city and you close your mouth and you're hyperventilating? Freedom of spirit. An old saying is free your spirit, dance with life. Are you dancing with life or are you blaming it? Choice is yours. You have free will, but you have a responsibility with it. Really, it's important to have an ego. Do you know what ego stands for? Just to add to that, egos, Earth generated operating system. You've been schooled to believe that ego is important. In my perspective, no, it's not. It's an Earth generated operating system. We aren't born with ego, we're taught ego. We're schooled in ego. It's shown in the media, the televisions, politics, religions. It's programmed. Earth generated operating system. And ego results in corruptions, greed, war. So, in the concept of saying that ego is important, I disagree with that. Again, that is my personal choice, and I don't use ego. I'm proud. Okay, I have pride, but I have what I believe is not ego. It's self preservation and self worth. And my worth is important to me. I'm not out to prove it to anybody. Consumerism, schooling. I invite you to take the word school, spell it backwards. Google it. Google the word school backwards. You might have a rude awakening. It's an actual word. It's been pretty much scrubbed from a lot of things, but you'll find reference to it because it's a word that exists. We are in a universal web of life, and it's connected to not just this world. Everything is an energy, frequency, and vibration, and it connects to the cosmos as much as it connects to the Mother Earth. Bashar said it that we are nature and nature is us. Nature owns you. You own you, but nature owns you. Because without air, without water, without land, without the fire, without the spirit, we as a species and many other species would fail and would cease to exist. How long can you go without breath? How long can you go without air? Who owns you? Something to think about. It's all the way you want to look at it in perspective. Your perspective, your story, your choice. Hmm. Yeah, that's a can of worms. Egos. Yeah, I agree with you, Joelle. We're not born with ego. We're born in unconditional love. We're born in love unconditionally. Thank you for saying that. I totally agree with you on that one. We are not born with ego. Excuse me, did you get dropped out of the womb and you were with ego? Hmm. I'd like to know where that was. Nope. I got dropped out of the womb. I was cold. I wasn't born with ego. It was like, huh? What is this? I got this diaper on me, and what the hell is this thing? Okay, and this clothing, and and then I'm being fed things. It's like, what is this? The learning process, the birthing process. Yeah, I agree with you. We're not born. We're definitely not born with ego. Yeah, thank you. Like that one. It's a good discussion. That one, ego. Oh, we can go. See, on how many different ways that can go. So, how many of you believe that you're born with love? What is taught in school today? You want me to really on it? Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. Here's my perspective. It's bullshit. And the reason I'm saying that is that when I went through school, we were taught a great deal of things. Cursive writing. We were taught how to use our hands, how to calculate, how to use a pencil and write. We were shown multiple different professions. I remember being shown from woodworking to welding to cooking to all of this in schooling, in the basics of it. Majority of that's been removed. A majority of people in today's world can't write a letter, can't calculate without the device. They can't drive their cars without their GPS. So it's dumbed us down, to be honest with you. It's taken away survival skills. And then now in this, I'm gonna hit rabbit hole. Is it gonna hit a rabbit hole? And now what are we showing children in regards to gender? I'm appalled at that. I think it's disgusting. I think it's an atrocity that we are allowing this to be brought into the schools that says that a child at that age has the right to choose their gender because of what? This ideology of gentrification and cisgender. And, you know, I'll be honest with you, it's fucking bullshit. And whatever you want to do behind your closed door, I don't care. But to put that thrown into the face and saying that I have to accept this when it goes against the natural laws, no, I'm totally against that. I'm totally against that. That's like, no, you're teaching something that shouldn't be shown to a child. And you may disagree with me. I really don't give a fuck. Okay. But I see what it's doing, how it's damaging, okay, the evolution of our species. Like I said, whatever you want to do behind your closed door, you want to go on whatever side of the fence you want to go on. I don't care. But don't throw it in my face and say I have to accept it, or say I am a cis male. What the fuck is a cis male? A male is born a male, a female is born a female. You will die a male or a female. And a million years from now, they'll dig your bones up and you will be identified as a male and a female. Whatever you want to do with the lifespan in between that, you want to modify yourself, you want to change yourself, you fine, fine. Power of free will. Assume the responsibility with it, but don't throw it in people's face and don't throw it in children. No, no, I'm totally, yeah. And the way school operates today, if I had a child today, there's no way, no way I wouldn't. No, homeschool, homeschool. Yeah, sports. That's they're taking away sport. Yeah, I mean there's so much crossover and mix up in this mano, and the people that are, thank you for the, bringing these comments up, because it's a lot of truth, and it's a harsh truth to see that, what, it's being forced into into the sports, and like that is an unfairness. I don't care if you decided you want to be one or the other, but that is total garbage. That is total unfairness. The physical bodied strength of one over the other, and allowing us. Yeah, okay, now I'm opened up can of worms. It's like me going into the washroom and finding out that there's a woman beside me that looks like a woman but is not, and standing up at the urinal. No, no. You know what? I'm sorry, but no, no, I'm old school. Nope, nope. I think that's the most powerful thing right now, Mary, is homeschooling. Because you can teach a child not just the textbooks and, the arithmetic and all of that. You can also teach them survival skills. There's things that allow them to be under less pressure, because one, you're in the safety of a home environment versus being in the school that's got gates and security guards and massive bullying going on, and we see it in the news. What happens? So I think, what, homeschooling, yeah, power to it. Power to it. One, if you keep your children safe, because it's Russian roulette in a majority of schools out there. And I remember going and being invited to a school about 20 years ago when I was in Montreal, and had police on the corner, metal detectors, barbed wired fence around the school grounds, and metal detectors going into the classrooms. I was horrified. I was I didn't have school like this. I had bullies, yeah, but I had nothing like that. Like that's sending your child into a prison with the possibility and potential of risk. So, Mary, to answer your question truthfully, power to you. Homeschool. Homeschool 'em, okay? Online, there's all the ways to homeschool a child now. I have some clients that are homeschooling their children because of, well, her daughter was bullied, badly bullied, okay? So a mother's going to protect, and hopefully the father's doing the same damn thing. Is that, what, going to protect those children? Yeah, power to that, Mary. Homeschooling, especially the way schools are right now. I'm just, eh, I'm old school. Sorry, I'm going to stay old school, and I'm going to stay the gentleman, and I'm going to stay the protector, and understanding what it is to protect and fight for my children. Like, honestly, no. I'd be probably I'd probably be sitting, if I was a parent right now, and my child was in school, I'd probably be sitting in the classroom. That's that's the way it would be. Okay. Your grandson's parents are thinking of it. That's awesome, Mary. That's awesome. I think any mother, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's maybe not easy. I mean, like, sitting and looking at a child is maybe studying or learning quantum mechanics, and you're kind of like scratching your head. But you know what the plus side is, Mary? You're keeping your brain sharp too, because you're learning what they're learning. You're teaching. It's keeping that brain refreshed. So there's a plus side to that. Okay. Plus, if you want to have chocolate pudding, you can have real chocolate pudding versus the cafeteria stuff. Yeah, yeah. Like, nope. Yeah, homeschooling, power to it, especially, with what we see, what I'm seeing. And, I'm in Canada. So what happens in our schooling system, I'm not saying it's perfect, but we have a lot less of these incidences that we've seen as a Canadian happening in the US school systems, because one off, a child, we haven't seen that here yet. I mean, there's been a couple of rare things in our history. Okay. But the gun control is so strict. Okay. That what we see happening in other parts of the world has yet to really, take that level of it here in Canada at the point. Okay. So it's like, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a precarious world, with what's going on in our school systems, the way things have been stripped away. And like I said, take that word school, spell it backwards, Google it, see where that's going. You'd be surprised in how what it's actually doing to people, okay, to our children. And that's the whole purpose of it. It teaches you consumerism. It teaches, alpha syndromes, be number one. So where's ego coming from? Be number one. That's ego. Ego's blind. Ego's totally blind. Heart's not blind. Where are we taught about the heart in school? Anywhere? No. And if I get in talking about school, just a flash of a story, being thrown thrown out of a school because I asked a question. And some on TikTok have heard me talk about it. And then to the newcomers that haven't heard it, well, I grew up in the Roman Catholic, in the beginning, and it was in the Roman Catholic school system. And there one day I asked the nun in the morning that we had a question period, and I had seen a program about Darwin's theory. Asked the nun about Darwin's theory. That didn't go over too well. That didn't go over at all. I got thrown out of that school system. I was told that I was a demon and that I was a bad influence on the other children. Okay. My daughter took her kids out, but this awesome. Awesome, Jules. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I fully support that. I fully support that. In today's world, in North America, oh, yeah, I fully support that. I'd be doing that. I would, you know what? Like I said, if I was a parent today, I wouldn't want to be putting my child in a school system. Not with the threats, not with all the garbage that's in there and the programming. Okay. The programming that's in that and how that ties into, the higher, well, you can't call them higher powers, the elitism of the world and what they really want. They want a population that's controllable versus having you in freedom of spirit and understanding the power of your heart. And many of you on TikTok have heard me, and then others have heard me talk about it too, is the heart coherence and the heart and what it generates and that field that it generates around you. The depth of self love brings in that power that expands this shield around you that's filled with truth sensors. It allows you to, step into the higher consciousness and higher power of who you are and the ability to, I can sense what's right and what's wrong, even if I'm in a distance. This walking down the street and you feel a shiver, that connection that's there. It says like, oh, that's an energy that I might know, or that's an energy that feels really icky. The heart field versus focusing only on the ego and the mind and the programs. Free your spirit. Dance with life. It's not easy at times. It's not easy to love yourself. Nobody said it's easy. But the more you work on it, the stronger you become, the more respectful you become. Because you know in the power of love of self what it is to respect yourself. And I think any mother that's doing this with their children in a sense of homeschooling, not only are you keeping them safe, you're allowing them to be more at ease in the essence of loving themselves versus facing the peer group pressures and the judgments and the gains and all of that that's going on in the school systems. And now with this neutral gender bullshit, eh, it's a fiery dragon. Yeah, fiery dragon in many ways. Any other questions while we're at this? How come nobody's asking about what it is to be a sacred man or sacred woman? If there's no other questions, well, what else can we add to this for this first podcast of 2025? Short story? Do you believe in dragons? I'm not talking about dragons on television or your Dungeons and Dragons. How are the dragon spirit, the celestial guardian? It's shown throughout all history. If you really look into it, you'll see that there's an essence of dragon everywhere. What is it to be one? In balance with your body, mind, and spirit. Power of your breath. You step into breath. What is the core work on a lot of different levels of ideologies? Buddhism, yoga, sports, power of the breath. So in this essence of the power of the breath, it allows me to be in a standstill moment where I am one with myself, finding balance with my duality. I have a feminine side of me, I have a masculine side of me. In other words, I have a duality within me, dual energies, call it yin and yang, call it whatever you want to call it. There's two of us, two energies within me, my feminine and my masculine. And I'm at balance with my feminine as much as I'm at balance with my masculine. I like to be tender and soft with myself as much as I can climb a tree. I like to, look after my skin and, take care of myself and wear soft clothing. And, so there's a femininity in me. There's also that masculinity. So my essence of oneness is in balance between those duals, that duality. There's a time when I can be very tender and soft, and there's a time when I'm going to be strong and resilient. Understanding the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine within each of you, because you have both. So, essence of oneness, wholesome. I'm whole. I'm one with all that I am. Does that answer it? I can go deeper. Good question, Mary. Good question. Anybody else? Before I drift off into a story about dragons. Any other questions? Comments? Hmm. See, oneness. Just be like here in a standstill. Hmm. Feels good to be at one with self, regardless. Story about dragons. Hmm. I don't know what story I can tell you. What brings me the most joy? Hmm. The most joy? I got a special soul that brings a lot of joy in my life, but that's more on my private side of things. But that brings me a great level of joy. Another thing that I can say that brings joy to me is to see somebody doing the work. So, in this outreach community of the Heartfire Chronicles and what's been created with it, it was created on the aspect of love. And the joy that I get from that, the reward that I get from that, is seeing somebody that a year ago was desolate, wanting to opt out, feeling lost and listless, to now taking their power back. That is a seed of change. I see that person growing and becoming a seed of change and taking back their power. That brings joy, that brings happiness to me to see that. To see another fellow human stepping up and taking control of their life without the ego. Healing, that brings joy. I can go on and on. On self, any suggestion on self healing, you start feeling some physical discomfort. Yeah, you will feel physical discomfort as you're going through the healing process. You know, self healing. So we can look at it from the physical body or the mental body, or we can look at it from the spiritual body. So I'm going to expand a little bit upon that, Julie. And this vessel houses five bodies: the emotional body, the mental body, the physical body, the nutritional body, and the spiritual body. There's five bodies in you, or five sub bodies. Each body has a series of optimization keys. It also has a series of kryptonites. Okay. And the kryptonites are the poisons: educations, programs, television, porn industry. Okay. The disruptions, addictions. Okay. And that poisons the emotional body, that affects the mental body, takes its toll on the physical body. There's where the discomforts are coming in. Okay. The illnesses, the dis-ease, separation, dis-ease. Okay. And then our nutritional body is what everything that we're feeding upon: the environment, what we see, hear, smell, think, taste, put into our body, what we touch, what we watch, our, is it order? Is it disorderly around me? So my nutritional body is everything that's feeding the sensorial experience of this vessel. In the process of the healing, there is going to be discomforts that can affect emotional, mental, physical body. Okay. The nutritional space, the disruption. Now you go from disorderly to spinning and going to absolute order until you find a balance in that pendulum. And so, this essence, as we heal, it's not meant to be easy. If it was easy, the world would have healed already. So healing takes discernment, diligence, it takes conviction towards yourself. And in the process, it's not going to be something that's, feeling comfortable at times. To sit in that trauma, that hurt of the yesterday, it's not going to be comfortable. And it's not meant to be comfortable. It made you feel icky. And so to get out of the ickiness is to be able to sit in it and to understand the trigger of it, acknowledge the trigger, and know that it doesn't exist anymore. Because two things don't exist: yesterday and tomorrow. All that exists is right now. And this comes back into finding oneness, stillness, stand still, and finding acceptance and surrender. Surrendering to it is not saying, I'm weak. Surrendering is, I let go. And in letting go, that discomfort, it's going to purge. And it can be a purging emotionally, mentally, physically, even to the point where the purging can be a pungent smell that is coming from the body because of the toxicities that is not just from the foods, but how you've been feeding the mind. So there is a discomfort there. Welcome it. Don't run away from it. Welcome it. And it's like, this is going to hurt. Yeah, fuck, it's going to hurt. But you're going to grow from it. You're going to become stronger from it. You'll know the differences between the rights and the wrongs that created that discomfort in the aspect of self healing. So that's dealing with those yesterday moments, the traumas, the hurts, the betrayals, the angers, the resentments, the shames, the guilts. There's also this self healing where you have the power to heal this physical body in knowing that how much power you truly have to heal your sicknesses. Because the sickness has a source. The body's become sick, there's a source to it. There's a reason. Somewhere along the line, something has brought that forward. Foods, environment, upbringing. So the body has become physically sickened, diseased, so separated. And so the body takes that affliction, hate. Example, you hate yourself, your skin responds to that. You hate yourself, so the body's going to show you. You're going to look in the mirror and you're going to all of a sudden see all sorts of imperfections. You're not well with yourself. You feel icky with yourself. Your body's going to respond to you until you learn to heal it and to let go of those triggers, those afflictions. The more you love yourself, the more you glow, the more your body responds. Okay, it's a win-win situation. So yeah, discomfort's part of it, but the reward, the reward is worth it. I assure you that it's very worth it. Very, very, very worth it because now you know yourself. An outside world that perceives you to be something else is like, excuse me, that's your perception. We have an acronym for it in the TikTok community. We call that an HIA syndrome. You know what? There's people out there that have HIA syndromes. Just remember, it doesn't belong to you. Never did belong to you. The only reason that you've allowed it to belong to you is because you've allowed it to take your power away. You've allowed that other person to take your power away because you've lowered yourself to their narcissism or their manipulation or their abuse. You have a choice. There's no in betweens. There's either a yes or a no. It's a light switch. Yeah, yeah. It happens that way, Julie. So I can see, and many people that I mentor, they go through this. Okay, they do go through a physical body this detox. Okay. Think of it in meditation. We go sometimes in meditation, we go through an energy detox. The body responds to that. The body is going through because it is energy, it's coming through our body, it's being released. Okay. And so, aches, pains, that's a potential. The way the skin responds, that's a potential. The way our inner organs are responding. Yeah. I had a client. Wow, this is gonna, this it's not the nicest subject, but I had a client I worked with for a very quite a long time, about 3 years, and the latter year, the third year, he says, Gary, he says, I'm starting to worry. I says, what are you worrying about? He says, I have had diarrhea for the last 6 months, and he says, I don't want to go see the doctors, and I said, "Okay, first off, I'm not a doctor, so let me get that straight." I says, "But when did it start?" So I wanted him to step back into it. And he said, "Well, I went into this really deep meditation and I saw something in my childhood that I didn't recall. And it was a very, very deep hurt. And he was abused by his father in a very, very disgusting mannerism. And he identified it. He finally saw it. And so for 6 months, he was going through diarrhea. So there wasn't a sickness other than the memory was releasing that garbage. And his body was having a physical response to the remembrance of that situation. And today I talk to him every once in a while. And I have a question with her. So, any more diarrhea syndromes? He says, no, I'm good now. So, yeah, the body can respond in many ways. So, if you're looking for, I need some water, actually, coffee, clear the throat a little bit because it was starting. Ooh, 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 ooh. What can I say in this towards a we're coming down to the I think the end of this podcast for this time, and then next week we'll go into something else, some thoughts I would like to leave you with. And I want you to remember something, no matter who you are. It's not about your age or your gender or your color, your creed, your culture, your language, your walk of life. It's about the power of the being that you are, and that together we can come together as one people. And we have the power in this beautiful golden opportunity in this age of Aquarius, this time that's been talked about and philosophized and prophesized for generations, for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. We're in it right now. And it's a golden opportunity. It truly is. We have the power to change this world as a people, not relying upon politics and, you know, container thinking and, ideologies and religions and fear mongering and fear the wraith of this and, fear this and fear that. Fear is self destruction. Okay. It's really self sabotage. There's a good side of fear. If you're standing on the edge of a cliff and it's 3,000 feet in that drop, fear is bringing yourself into the awareness of being attentive, because if you take the wrong step, that's a long drop that you're not going to survive. But to be pushed with fear, to fear this and fear that, that's let's get away from this. You have the power to not acknowledge that fear by stepping in and calling back your power and remembering that you are a miracle of life. Every human, every being is a miracle of life. No matter what choices they do in their story, they're still a miracle of life. They're living in this realm that we're in, this earthly realm. And this earthly realm is a magical realm. This planet is a magical planet. She's just as alive as you and me. She provides you with the elements of your survival. And I'm not going to get into any of the other ideologies of what the earth is. The earth is a chosen planet, not a chosen people. Chosen planet. It's a seeding planet that has been seeded with species from all over the galaxies and all over the universe. It's a chosen mother. She's here to mother you. And it's time that we come together as that people and honor this planet and respect this planet and take care of her. Because if we don't, what's the world going to be for children tomorrow? Living in a box? Living in a container? They say smell the flower, smell the rose. Take the time to smell that rose. Don't pick it. Smell the medicines that's being delivered by that rose, by that tree, by that wind, walking along the waterways and the moistness in the air, the appreciation of the blueness of the skies and the brightness of grandfather sun and, the glow of grandmother moon. Stop running down the rabbit holes and all sorts of fictive, ideologies. Our ancestors opened our eyes and looked at the stars and navigated. They connected with the earth. They honored her. They understood the power of the lands. And that's going to be a podcast coming up further on down the line. Talk about, the power of the peoples of the lands and the responsibility that we have as a people to this land, this earth, this one world, not all these separate countries that have us separated and in judgment and fear and, one thinks they're more powerful than the other. No, no. A good crystal to support healthy blood pressure. One that comes to mind, and I work with it, is garnet. Garnet has this ability to work with our blood flow. Okay, so we can talk about rubies as well, but let's not go into that one. Garnet is, it's got a beautiful heart energy. Okay, so it is known, and I create some things with, with that crystal as well. Garnet backing and rose quartz and others. So when we look at anything that is of that red or color, bloodstone is another one that is known for this. So there's ones that are coming to mind as I'm going more into this. Okay, but anything that's representative of that color of blood has that ability to find balance with our root energy as much as it finds balance with our blood flow. Some crystals, be careful with as well. It's like a lot of people ask me about moldavite. You got to be ready for moldavite. So don't take them for granted. But I would highly suggest, get yourself a piece of garnet, raw garnet, not polished. Okay, see how that works with you. And if that's not fitting it, reach out to me. I'll do some further research and see if there's some other things. We can't know everything. It's a learning process all the time, right? Anything else? Questions or comments? I'm not used to not seeing the comments. So it's like, okay, but that's okay. That's okay. I think the Facebook group, it's been a while since I've been on Facebook. So I'll see if there's any feedback from that. Okay. But there's more coming forward. I can guarantee you that. We might be talking about some things that are going to be uncomfortable. I'd rather you be uncomfortable than be in a comfort zone so that you can do something about it. Uncomfortability brings forward change. And sometimes that's what we need to be, is uncomfortable so we can become stronger. Anything else from the audience? Anywhere. If not, I got a short story for you. And then we'll finish it off for tonight. I'll look forward to seeing you next week or on TikTok tomorrow night. A lot of people say, why aren't you doing, Facebook Lives? I'm not going to get into it. Join me on TikTok. You'll understand why. You want to find me? Come on TikTok. Join the Heartfire Chronicles community that's there, and as it's growing and as it's expanding, and come and feel safe. I'll guarantee you, it's heavily moderated. Got some pretty powerful moderators. I've also got some pretty powerful people right behind me right now. You notice up on the right hand side. How can I help my procrastination? Give yourself a kick. kick. I was going to say, give yourself a kick in the ass. Yeah, just a little bit of how to help with your procrastination. Get up, okay? Force yourself. If there's something that's going like you're putting it off, you keep putting it off. Why are you putting it off? Ask yourself that question. Is there another reason? So I might ask you a couple of questions on this, Michelle, in the sense of, if you're using substances as evasion, those substances, a great deal of the time, bring you into procrastination because it's lowering your energy field. Okay. Whether it's in the drink, whether it's in the smoke, whether it's in, whatever that evasion is, it's taken away from you to work on yourself. And that procrastination is because you've gotten into a comfort zone where, okay, I don't need to do anything. It's like the bottom line of it is that you're sitting here in standstill because you're in a comfort zone versus breaking free from the comfort zone. Challenge yourself. Start with little things. Challenge yourself. Challenge yourself at the very beginning of the day to be with to be grateful. To be grateful for the power of your breath. And I can throw another challenge at you. You want to get out of procrastination? Yeah, every Thursday is what we're planning on doing. So here's a challenge for you. And it's going to take you 6 seconds in your day, 3 seconds in the morning, and 3 seconds in the night. You wake. What's the first thing we normally do? We go to the washroom, right? I want you to take 3 seconds after you've done whatever you have to do and look at yourself in the mirror and say 3 words. I want you to look at yourself in the mirror. Like, really look at yourself and say, I love you. Yeah, you know what? It might feel uncomfortable. Keep doing it. And when you come at home in the end of your day, before you go to sleep, you're going to do the same thing. That's 6 seconds in that 12-hour, 24-hour period. 6 seconds. That's the challenge. And it's not to do it for one day or a week. No, you do it every day. And to the point when you look at that mirror, when you wake up in the morning, you go in that mirror and you go, yeah, okay, we got this. That's is going to reprogram in this essence of self-love. And that's going to give you power. That's going to help you to break out of that procrastination. Because if you're sitting there and stand still, are you loving yourself? No, you already acknowledged it by the question. Is that how do I get out of procrastination? So the heart is seeing something. The heart wants you to move something, wants you to do something, but you're here and not here. Whys, what fors, how comes? Yeah. Our love is the force that expands our consciousness. Absolutely. Love that one. Love that one. It brings a shift of reprogramming of self. We are always enough. Absolutely. You are enough. Why are you doubting yourself? If you're saying you're not worthy, well, hold on a second. Get that shit out of your head. No, you are worthy. You are enough. You are capable. There's a powerful statement, an I am statement. I am worthy. I am capable. I am love. I am intelligent. I am not in the ego side of things, in the uplifting versus saying, I'm weak, I'm hurting, I'm stressed, I'm angry. You try this. It's a proven study. If you say, I'm angry, the body tenses up right away. Automatically. It's an automatic response. The body tenses. Repeat, I am calm. 3, 4 times. Take a breath. I am calm. Body relaxes. Body slows down. The heart rate slows down. The stress begins to melt away. You're going to saying, I'm anxious. Well, what did you just do? You've already I'm anxious. Filled with anxiety. So you're empowering the negative versus taking the power back and saying, I'm calm. It's practice. It's self-worth. It's self-practice. You are the master. Self-mastery. You're the master. You are the ascended master of self. There's no ascended master that's up above you. No, you're an ascended master of self. Become your master. You're master of your story, your life, your destiny, your karma. You are the master of your life. Nobody else's. And that comes with self-love. That comes with the power of self-love. And self-love is the connection. Love is the connection. It is the universal flow. It's the web and flow of life here upon this earth, throughout the cosmos, throughout the galaxies. Unconditional love. If there is an essence of creator, creator is unconditional love. It's right before you. I was going to go into a story, but you know what? Does gratitude and being grateful help with manifestation? Yes, it does. Absolutely. Absolutely. When you're in gratefulness, if I'm grateful, I understand that I'm in a better flow. And so to have gratitude, I'm grateful to have this crystal. I didn't buy it, it was gifted to me. I'm grateful to have this. So it sits with me. I'm grateful and I practice gratitude for I can breathe. I can create. I can still admire. I can read. Okay. I work with plant medicines. I'm grateful that I can create and work with plant medicines. And you know, that I practice gratitude with it. I look at what's around me and I'm grateful for what I have, but I understand that it's only borrowed. But what is true gratefulness and true gratitude is I'm grateful for the person who I am. I don't need somebody to tell me this. No, I'm grateful for being me, even when I make a fucking mistake. I'm grateful for that mistake because it's helping me learn. It's helping me say, you know what? Okay, yeah, you made a mistake. If I'm going to repeat that mistake, then I'm not grateful. And I'm definitely not in gratitude. I'm in self sabotage. How many times do I have to repeat that mistake to realize that, hold on a second, I don't have to do that mistake. Why am I making that same mistake all the time? Step back, reflect, breathe, and manifest oneness, wholesomeness, peacefulness, self love. And then now, watch how abundance flows. And abundance, don't think of it as things. Okay. Don't think of it as, money and objects. That will flow. Okay, because there's no obstructions. And I have that's a whole other conversation. And we'll talk about that in another podcast. But what I'm saying is that if I weave in energetic weaving, okay, a lot of people see me moving my hands, and I'm weaving. This is weaving. I'm not just dancing with my hands. It's not a dance. I'm weaving with the energetic web around me. And through this energetic web, I have the power of transformation. I have the power of manifestation. I have the power of healing because I realize that I am powerless to the emperor of life around me. I cannot create a butterfly. I can't. It would be very facetious of me to think that I can create that butterfly, but I can admire it. I can be grateful that I saw that butterfly. I can be grateful that I listened to the birds. Can be grateful that I smelt that flower, that tree, that essence of life. So if you practice gratefulness and gratitude in every aspect, it's like being grateful that I have a cup and I'm filled with gratitude as to what's in that cup. And so if I speak to that essence and I drink that essence, I'm drinking gratitude. If it's water and I speak to the water, water holds memory. Water is life. Okay, I speak to it. I'm grateful for it. So I'm actually infusing myself with gratefulness and gratitude because of the way I spoke to my water. So hopefully that answered your question. Where are we? I think it's about time to say, you know what? For the first podcast, I'd like to talk a little bit about Elevate Souls production. That is because of them that this is happening. And Elevate Souls production is a wonderful group of people. Christina, Mary, Kevin. They are heartfelt. They are fiery. Christina's fiery. Mary's fiery. Kevin's sort of like me. Okay, me and Kevin, we see there's a lot of similarities between me and him. And if it wasn't for Kevin, I probably wouldn't be doing this right about now because I'll be honest, it's Kevin that brought me into the ESP group and approached me as a content creator. And I have gratitude and I'm very grateful for them to bring this forward in a way that I never expected. I never expected the Heartfire Chronicles to be what it is right now. I never expected TikTok to be what it is right now. And yes, I can say the beginnings began on Facebook and so on, but it just, something wasn't moving. And this ability with TikTok took it to a whole other level. And I know there are people out there thinking, well, TikTok's going to disappear because of, some governmental thing in one part of the world. It's not going anywhere. And there's other platforms. Right now, we are simultaneously streaming on YouTube, Facebook, on TikTok, through my profile, and through the ESP network, through a variety of other things, other platforms. And Elevate Souls, it's got a good ring to it. Elevate Souls. We're here not to heal people, but we are here to show by example that we can work together, that we can co create together rather than hate, destroy, and war. I believe that we can do this. My hope is for humanity, but it's up to every being that's having a human experience to do their work, your work. You have the greatest potential. Listen to the inner one, the little inner child inside of you that holds the highest potential. It's the key to your intuitiveness that comes from that inner child. Gut instinct. Hmm. More discussions for more podcasts in the upcoming future. Other than that, join me tomorrow night, Friday, 9:30 Mountain Daylight Time on Twitter. Uh, Not Twitter. Bzz. You know what? Maybe it's an old age thing. I won't go there. TikTok. Come join the family. You want to reach out to me? Do you want to look at me working with me as a mentor or creating something with you with, the power of the plant medicines and, essential oils or shamanic talismans? The link to my website is right down below, phoenixapothecary.ca. PA links. It'll take you into a variety of different connections into my website. You can reach out to me through WhatsApp. It's available through the link through my website. Feel free to send me an email. And if we can connect and work together, it'll be a pleasure to work with you. Okay. And other than that, I just want you to be the best version that you can be of yourself. And that begins with loving yourself. Because when you love yourself, nobody can love you more than you can love yourself. Absolutely nobody. And that power of self love, that's going to show who you are. Because now you're going to shine. And you're not going to shine with gloat and greed or ego. You're going to shine with this oneness and knowing who you are and not relying on another. So until next week, I wish you peace, joy, strength. And in those moments of doubtfulness, step back, reflect, and just take a deep breath and be grateful for that breath. Because in that breath, another life has ceased to exist, and you're still here. That's a good way to start practicing gratitude, to be grateful for your breath and understand that you're a miracle of life. So if there's no other questions and there's no other feedback, it's already up. It's on YouTube right now. In fact, we're streaming to my YouTube channel right now, Heartfire Chronicles. So, yeah. And there are other things coming forward as well. So, I'm going to be doing the guided meditations. So, like what we do on Twitter, or not Twitter, but I know I got Twitter in my mouth for a reason. It must be some kind of thread that's coming in. Okay. But on TikTok, that I do those guided meditations. So, I'm going to be pulling those guided meditations out. And we're going to get those uploaded in separate episodes. And I'll be creating other guided meditations. Well, I do my own scripts and so on. And I do some free flows. So that's coming more to the YouTube. So, yes, to answer your question, there is a YouTube channel. Oh, and I have also a channel in the ESP Discord server. I got to put that link up. So many social media platforms. It's like going. Bzzz. Okay. Thank you, Mary. It's a pleasure being part of this beautiful, beautiful next step. Yeah, please do hit those subscribe buttons. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to see you, Johnny. Joelle, Kevin, Mary, Christina, and to everybody, wherever you are, blessings and à bientôt. Bonne nuit. Namaste. And thank you for joining in tonight.
In the heart of the mountains, where flying shadows play, legends whisper softly in the light of day. Scales shine like diamonds, wings that touch the sky, guardians of the planet Earth, protecting all that cry. When the storms rage above and the darkened shadows creep, they shield the outer danger from attacking when we sleep. Through their breath of fire, we will find our way back home. They are always there to call on, no matter where we roam. Hear the thunder of dragons flying high above the earth, protectors of the ancient realms, hidden since our birth. Feel energy that rises, feel the fire in your heart, creeping up your body, awakening the start. In the depths of the forests, where spirits dance and sing, dragons listen carefully for souls that are calling. Then breathing life of fire, a flicker of the tail, their hearts all beat in unison, that is timeless in this veil. When the storms rage above and the darkened shadows creep, they shield the outer danger from attacking when we sleep. Through their breath of fire, we will find our way back home. They are always there to call on, no matter where we roam. Hear the thunder of dragons flying high above the earth, protectors of the ancient realms, hidden since our birth.